I'm going to review Infuselearning and then look at the results of a quiz reviewing the concepts of solving equations. So the particular quiz that I gave involved a combination of multiple choice questions and then also open-ended questions where they could solve the problems on a separate sheet of paper and then input their answer into the computer. The students worked at their own pace, and then once everyone completed the quiz, I was able to open up and print out or review a spreadsheet of their results, which is great because we were able to see patterns in patterns for the whole class or patterns for individuals. So for instance, if you look at the right side of your screen, everyone, the 4 students I had in class, got number 6 wrong, and so I can go back and look at what were the common errors there. But it also looks like the student at the bottom of the screen got a lot of answers incorrect. However, if I look closely at it, you'll see that right here at -8, the answer is correct. He just formatted it incorrectly. He needed to put a space in for the program to be able to read it as a correct answer. So even though I reviewed that with the students, he obviously did not get that direction. So in reviewing the work of the students who, for that more complicated equation problem number 6, I found a common error that students were combining like terms but not taking into consideration that they were moving those terms across the equal sign, which would require an inverse operation. So one of the things that I would do to help them give them a visual prompt that they need to do something differently is require that they draw a line through the equal sign so that they can see that they are going across and must use inverse operations. Something needs to be different as they combine those like terms. On the next example, so the one student who got the number 6 wrong, he actually did draw a line down through the equal sign. He knew he had to use an inverse operation, but there's the error right here is that he tried to split apart the term, and he really just needed to move the whole piece or the whole term to the other side. So that's something that he and I can address individually and go back over that. And then other common errors, or not common errors, but other errors that I found were a few students answered the multiple choice questions incorrectly, but their work, when they're asked actually to perform the task, they did the steps correctly. So the multiple choice question might be, just what's the first thing to solve this problem? You need to add 5 to both sides, or B, you need to subtract 5 to both sides. But they actually performed the work correctly even though they got the multiple choice wrong. Another error was that a student, when he was working with the reciprocals to solve the equation, rather than multiplying, he added the fractions. So he and I will go over that individually. And then one student simply copied the problem wrong onto her paper, but she did all the steps correctly, so that really was not an error. So where do we go next? Well, what I will do is require that students draw that line down across the equal sign to give them the visual cue that something needs to happen differently, and review inverse operations, especially when there's a lot of steps involved. We'll practice some more multi-step problems, and then we'll use the draw tool on Infuselearning, which is what you see in the background of the screen, to go over some problems together and then monitor our errors together up on the screen. So I'll post those results as they work the problems out on their individual iPads. And then we'll review the rules for multiplying fractions. And then finally we'll quiz again after the review and the practice. So in using this tool for assessment, What were some of the pros? Well, the different format for testing was nice. The students could use the iPads. It was something different than pencil and paper. I did like that I could review the results live as they were going over it. I actually could see, oh, they got number 4 wrong, they got number 5 wrong as they were taking it. So I really technically could have caught this error at the bottom of my screen if I would have simply walked over to see how he was inputting his answers. So that's something just for the future I'll know to pay attention to. You can embed pictures into the quiz, which would be great if I were doing maybe a more complicated math concept like graphing, so I could actually embed a picture of a graph onto the question itself. I really like the Excel sheet, so that the quiz is all corrected. I simply can go back in and look for those common errors and then address those specifically and go back and look at those problems and the work that the students showed. And definitely the program was easy to use, which was really nice. So some of the cons or dislikes, there's no hard copy of the quiz. You can't print this, and that is something that supposedly the programmers are working on. You can't embed a draw response, which is a real bummer considering math. So they can't show their work on the quiz. They have to use that piece of paper. The numeric answers need to be exact and match how you place them in the computer. So really training the students up on how to input an open response. There's limited numeric symbols. I didn't play with this as much on the computer to see what I could really insert as far as symbols. And then again, students have to show their work on a separate sheet of paper. Additionally, just a few other highlights. The draw tool for a quick assessment is really nice because students are working on their iPad showing their work. Then we can actually post those up to the screen to go back and review how students did and compare their work, and they really did enjoy that. There is an audio read aloud option, so the questions can be read aloud. There are a variety of question formats to use, and students can't see immediate feedback as far as I got this question wrong unless I actually project it onto the screen. But once they finish the quiz, they can see their actual score on the quiz, so they get immediate feedback how they did. The number incorrect, correct, you can kind of see that in the background of your screen. So overall, Infuselearning was an easy tool to use, and I definitely would use it in the future. I like the draw response as a quick assessment, and I like the spreadsheet for a quick visual to know where to really target my time. So it's definitely a time saver as far as assessments are concerned.